everyone, so now I'm going to be showing you through my pantry all the things that I use to cook with on a regular basis, and I'm going to talk about some staples that I think you'll find may be really helpful for you to have in your pantry as well. So up here I have all my sauces, vinegars and seasonings that I usually use when making my Asian style dishes like stir fries and things like that. So this one here is actually avocado oil. So this is really helpful for making your mayonnaise with. So it has a light flavour and it's really good for salad dressings, and it's a really good type of fat as well. Different vinegars and things like that. I like to have a bit of a variety of vinegars, like red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar, malt, that sort of thing, just for different flavours. Because I think when you're looking at having salads, you just don't want a boring salad. So if you can have a bit of a variety of different types of vinegars, that's really helpful. And then maple syrup. Maple syrup's a great sweetener. It's obviously all sugar will act as sugar in the body, but if you can avoid refined sugars, then that's going to be better for you because you're getting some nutrients along the way, however small. Porcini mushrooms. So these are really good as adding some flavour to any sort of food that you're doing. If you soak them a little bit beforehand, then you can add them to your cooking, and so it's great for when you're making your mushroom soups. But they add that umami flavour, which is also really good when you're making anything along the lines of rissoles or spaghetti bolognese. A few different types of flours I've got here, like buckwheat flour. Semolina I don't use a huge amount of. These are fantastic. So these are black bean spaghetti. So that's actually really helpful for when you're trying to avoid the carbohydrates a little bit more. And then other sorts of noodles I've got here. Soba noodles, and these are kelp noodles. So they're just made out of seaweed and water, essentially. Don't get me wrong, I love spaghetti, but you don't want to have it all the time, and because it is quite a refined carbohydrate, and it will certainly be a little bit heavy, and not everyone can handle wheat either. So it's good to have some varieties. Here I've got all my different types of teas: Buddhist teas, green tea, normal tea, peanut butter. Pick's really good, is one of my favourites. Coconut milk, so I've got, this one's light, but I generally don't buy the light, it just depends on what's there. It's good to have lots of tomatoes. I do like to have the whole tomatoes and the diced tomatoes depending on what you're using. Salmon, sardines, caster sugar as well for baking and things like that. Quinoa. Sushi rice, brown rice, that's dukkha. This is some pickled cucumbers that I made a little while ago that I haven't gotten into. More sardines. I love sardines. Mustards, honeys, Vegemite, palm sugar, and this is farro. Farro is an ancient grain that's really good to have because you get a lot more nutrients in it than you do when you and it's good just to have a bit of variety as well. Every year I make a batch of preserved lemons, and so they're really nice for adding into salads and in Moroccan seasoning. And this is my spice section. So this is my little spice UFO, really handy. I put all the ones that I access most frequently in there. And then I've got my collection here of all my goodies, so you can lift that out and go through them. This is smoked salt. It's really nice seasoning on things. And then I've got a few different bits of flaked almonds and pine nuts. It's got some cocoa nibs in the back there. As far as spices go, the main ones I usually use are cumin and coriander, which are up in the spice UFO, but I also go through quite a lot of chili, fresh, dried as well. Chinese five spice is really handy to have, and then dried ginger, onion powder, garam masala. Sumac's really nice, but you don't find it very often, and this can be quite good in salads. adds a little bit of a kick. Got a lot of turmeric. I have all my backup spices in these ones because we do tend to use quite a lot. And then got dried bay leaves. However, we do have a bay tree, so I don't tend to use that very often. And that's the main spices.
Hi, welcome to my kitchen. I was going to give it a really good clean before I started this video, but then I kept putting it off, so I thought let's just get into it. This is my pantry. I just wanted to show you a few items that I have as staples and always try to keep in the house, so that if we're a little bit in a rush for dinner, or just, you know, the items that we use all the time, they're already here. So with our pantry, we've got it laid out in a way that's convenient for us, and I think that for healthy cooking and for easy cooking, you want to get your kitchen laid out nice and efficiently. So on the top shelf up here, I might just see if you'll see my kombucha. So I've got a second ferment happening up here with passion fruit, and then behind that is another lot of kombucha that's doing its first ferment. I've got my protein powders, so I use a rice protein that I get from an Australian company called Natural Advantage. And I don't do protein shakes much, but I usually put protein powders in bliss balls if I make them. And my Huron juicer, so my slow juicer, which I love. I use it to make, I don't drink a lot of juice, but I use it to make nut milks. And if I do juice, I usually do a veggie juice, so I'll put some spinach in it, some carrot. If I do use fruit, I might use a bit of pineapple, but the juicer gets a good workout in this house for the nut milk. And then we've got our condiments, like our nut butters. So I make my own nut butters. So cashew butter, macadamia butter. My partner told me on the weekend that cashew butter is now his favourite above peanut butter. So I feel like I'm winning there. We've got our honey, coconut oil, maple syrup, apple cider vinegar. This is all supplements. So being a naturopath, I'm a little bit crazy on my supplements. I pretty much just have a first aid kit and have the supplements that I use a lot of. And my partner uses supplements as well, so his supplements are in there. We've got a few more here, and then things like conventional medicines that we might need in a little box on the side. We've got our tinned goods and jars of tomatoes. I try and always get the BPA free tinned goods, and I usually always try and keep tomatoes, kidney beans, lentils, chickpeas, because I will cook with them quite a bit. And something that I love for Mexican cooking, if you use kidney beans in Mexican cooking, I really like black beans instead. I think they make it a lot nicer. I prefer the flavour. Sometimes I find kidney beans a little bit too rich and overpowering. So that's my little secret tip for the day. Black beans in your Mexican. Fish, so sardines, tuna. I always try and go for the sustainable pole caught if I can get it. Well, pretty much that's all I buy. Cooking coconut cream and whatnot. And then when we go a little bit lower, we've got things like rice, we've got quinoa, we have couscous. Sometimes we like a bit of couscous, even though it's wheat based. We're not wheat free in this house. Chicken stock, so if I haven't got any chicken stock in the freezer, then we'll have that one. That's a free range one, and there's no nasty ingredients, so that's this one with the chicken on the front. We do a bit of Vietnamese and Chinese cooking in our house. My partner's half Chinese, half Vietnamese, so we've got things like, we've got soy sauces and all of that, but we've got those black beans. We like beef and black beans, so it's a different black bean to the tinned ones. Then we've got dried mushrooms and all that yummy stuff. And then going down even lower, we've got our desiccated coconut. You can see there, sea salt, my most favourite brown rice crackers, and back up to this shelf. So this is Baristador coffee. It's a decaf coffee, and that's an organic variety in that red bag there, but their decaf is done by the Swiss water method, so they run water through the coffee to get rid of the caffeine. They don't do it by a chemical method. Then we've got nuts, so bags of nuts. Sometimes I'll put them into a jar, but they don't last very long in this house, so there's not much point. And then plastic storage and things on the bottom for lunches. I do try and store things like my tea. I'll store in old used glass jars. And then like our sea salt and things like that are in glass jars, and I'm trying to slowly upgrade a few more things into glass, but we do have these Systema plastic containers as well. They're BPA free. I'd rather have it in glass if I can, but when I first moved out of home, plastic was what it was, and that's what it still is. So basically I think your kitchen should, you can't do everything in glass. You can't do, like we said in the other video, you can't do everything organic maybe, but you've just got to live within your means and do what you can. So that's what we do in our house, and we do a combination of my super healthy cooking, Jono's Vietnamese, Chinese, conventional, sometimes we might home make chicken schnitzel. We do try and do a lot of homemade food, so that's mostly what we eat. Everything's done from scratch. You won't see, that's a organic arrabbiata, is that how you pronounce it? Like an organic pasta sauce. But aside from that, if we're making bolognese, we do it straight from scratch, and we don't use jarred pre-made sauces very much. That's kind of a midweek in a rush. I'll throw some tuna and some veggies in that, and that's what we'd have with some pasta. So that's the pantry, and then we'll move on to the fridge in a sec.